First film in the Godzilla series opens up with a typhoon ravaging Japan's east coast a couple months before the 1964 was supposed to release. In the midst of that, a giant sphere-like thing was washing around and ends up crashing into the shore. The thing, of course, ends up being a giant egg of unknown origin. Apparently the land was owned by some greedy businessman who decided to turn it into a tourist attraction. And we're going to call it something frenzy. Now, before they could get their plans in action, a pair of tiny twin fairies appear and ask for the egg back. The businessman refused, but decided to capture them as the little egg keepers for the amusement park, which they failed, of course. And they decided to try again through some newspaper people and the professor, and they tried to bind them off their hands, which again, they also failed. Around the same time, Godzilla appears. However, this is no ordinary first appearance, as compared to him usually showing up via the sea or through a fight, this is one of the most unique, yet one of my favorite moments, rising from the ground at Kurata Beach, washed up ashore from the typhoon and probably buried there ever since King Kong has beaten him up 2 years ago. And he's not in the mood to party. And immediately after rising up, he starts rampaging through Kurata on his way towards Nagoya, or Nagoya, wherever you prefer. Either way, they both say it in both pronunciations. He topples a tower, he destroys buildings. I mean, it's just an awesome watch. Special effects, though, kind of give it away. Yet, one of my favorite scenes involving special effects was actually an outtake. It involves Godzilla destroying Nagoya Castle, being the third pagoda being destroyed, keeping up with the tradition of pagodas being destroyed. It may seem like a clumsy move by Godzilla, but in reality, Haro Nakajima was supposed to destroy it in general monster way, but he slipped and fell into the pagoda face first, smashing the head and making some of the teeth loose. He thought he was going to get yelled at for that accident, but Eiji Tsuburaya actually liked the effect it had so much that he kept it like that for the rest of filming. But eventually the head had to be replaced, much to his dismay. As soon as he finishes, he begins to focus his attention on the egg, which has been laying gracefully in some sort of greenhouse environment down by the beach. And he decides to see what it is, and while he's trying to do that, the group travel to Infant Island to see if they can get Mothra to help them out with dealing with Godzilla. And surprised, they refuse, as the chief there, yes, there's an indigenous people in Infant Island. If you don't know, watch the first Mothra movie. The chief tells them that mankind has done so much bad things to them, including nuclear testing, which left their island into a barren, desolate wasteland. And Mothra refused to help them. And so just as they turn to leave, they hear the fairies sing down by a little spring, which they say is all that's left of the island. And despite understanding what Godzilla poses to Japan, they refuse as well, because similar to Godzilla, Mothra was herself a victim of the nuclear testing. Basically, she mutated to a giant moth and left her homeland barren and desolate. However, Mothra herself decides to go help out and hopefully stop him. However, the best they could hope for is a draw, because she's too old and weak, and if she kills him, she'll die herself. So basically it's a lose-lose situation for the both of them. Godzilla, in the meantime, starts approaching Kuroda once again in an attempt to destroy the egg. And on the way, he destroys a hotel where two businessmen were shooting each other out over some money dispute. He ends up making a collapse on them while destroying the egg. Kind of as an act of karma to some people. However, just as he reaches the egg, Mothra appears. And Godzilla pretty much waits for her, doing one of the best death stares in monster. And Godzilla, all he can do is just kick and scream like a toddler. He's just like flailing his arms, trying to find some grip, and she's just pulling him back. And with the really rushed cinematography, it makes it even better. So eventually, she's able to corner him into a ditch, and she tries to kill him using poison powder. It works for a bit. However, Godzilla finally gets a chance to shoot his atomic breath twice. And she was mortally wounded, because unlike other monsters, she's vulnerable to his atomic breath, considering when he blasts her in the face, she just starts moving around uncontrollably and retreats. And so Godzilla finally rises and begins to finish her off, only to get pushed back into the ditch. And all Mothra could do is beat dead weight to her unborn egg as she flies towards her final resting place, with her wing resting on top of the egg, and she dies there. Godzilla, no longer interested in the egg, begins to walk away unfazed, just a bit humiliated, I bet, after that little scuffle. But little does he know, two tiny caterpillars hatch out of the egg as opposed to only one, and decide to go avenge their mother by following Godzilla, who at this point is being electrocuted by the military by using millions of volts and a bunch of electric towers, along with some wire netting dropped from a helicopter. But that didn't do a thing, as it unfazed him, and he decided to just walk away from the ocean after finishing off the military by then. However, the larvae reach him and start to fight him. Fire against silk. And unbeknownst to him, the larvae, that there were two, he thought there was one. He thought he would finish him off quickly. However, it doesn't go well for him this time, because the larvae were able to incapacitate him, and one of them even latches on to Godzilla's tail, and he notices it, he tries to slam it around like crazy, but it wouldn't let go until he slammed it against a rock. And that's when the larvae did start to cocoon him until he's a bit roughly unable to move as much. He gets cocooned and is unable to move aside from his legs. He can't see anything from him, so he just starts blindly walking around until he slips, falls into the ocean, immobilized. The larva, having apparently avenged their mother, decided to leave as well. And they go back home to Infant Island, where one of them would die and the other one would be supreme. And thinking there was some bit of competition that happened, though I can't say for sure. I haven't released any details. As they leave, the main character decided to do a more environmentalistic approach to Japan, considering the destruction they saw in Infant Island. They decided to do a bit more greener measures, as They wave goodbye to the waterfall. And Millman's right there. In the United States, it was released under the title Godzilla vs. The Thing. As remarkably, they haven't edited almost nothing in this film. They kept most of it uncut, save for a couple of unnecessary scenes. Plus, they actually added a scene, which was actually approved by Toho themselves since they made it in the Japanese version, but decided not to do it because, well, see for yourself. The scene shows American battleships approaching the coast of Japan, trying to tank Godzilla using a more conventional approach by bombarding them with torpedoes and missiles and the like. However, in Japan, the scene was deemed offensive because this has only been about 19 years after the attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and some Japanese people were still kind of uncomfortable and offended of American military ships attacking Japanese territory. Still Toho decided to apply, but it was kept in the American version. And yet, you gotta admit, even the special effects are good in this scene. The motion for this film in the States is kind of unusual. Even though they didn't edit that much out of the film, they decided to censor Mothra's appearance by calling her the Thing. Slogans usually are saying, "What is it? How much horror can you stand?" Their poster shows Godzilla fighting Mothra as a giant tentacled monster. Now, if you're wondering what the censor panel says, it says, "Censor. Behind this panel is the Thing. The producers of this motion picture take this precaution to spare those who cannot take its full view. For those who can, see the film from the beginning." You gotta admit, the American artwork for Godzilla in this film poster was actually pretty cool. But yeah, it's kind of misleading portraying Mothra as a giant tentacle monster. But if you think that's misleading, just check out the German poster. Or was it Polish? Somewhere in Europe. If you look at it, you see the uncensored panel, the Thing. And it shows a giant tentacle monster with a bunch of teeth in the center, wanting to eat Godzilla whole. Now it says, "Warning. The Fabulous Empire of Monsters." I think that's what it is. But seriously, they portrayed Mothra as this horrible, freakish, octopus-like creature, and audiences flocked in droves to see it, only to find out that it was a big letdown. Even official home video releases still say it as Godzilla vs. the Thing. Even though in some early VHS releases it was Godzilla vs. Mothra, before they decided to officially use Mothra vs. Godzilla. But yeah, in the dubbing, they refer to Mothra as a Thing and only say her real name like, I don't know, once or twice. I know that the twin goddesses say Mothra when she's dead in the English dub. And for some reason the dubbing was actually not that bad. Not as bad as, I'd say, King Kong vs. Godzilla. Overall, this is one of the best Godzilla films in existence. The screenwriting, the special effects, the music, all of them direct from the original Godzilla crew 10 years before. Ishiro Honda, Akira Ifukube, Eiji Tsuburaya, Haruo Nakajima, you name it, Tomoyuki Tanaka, all of them. returning to make one of these greatest monster films of all time. However, this is going to be the final film in the show series where Godzilla is portrayed as a villain. And starting with the release of Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster just only a couple months later, he changes his personality. However, so if you don't want to see the heroic Godzilla films, this is where you would stop for the Showa era and just appreciate this masterpiece. I mean, yeah, some of the cinematography is a bit rushed, specifically the battle scene between Mothra and Godzilla, where it looks like it's either stop motion or just lame puppetry. But yet, they make up for it in the form of comedic screenwriting. Some special effects are a bit off, like Godzilla's rampage over Nagoya, or the egg being seen from the point of view of the people, or the twin fairies whenever they're small, all that. I mean, you can let it slide because this monster movie is worth watching. So definitely watch this. And stay tuned for the next Godzilla video, because it's coming up within a few moments after this video.